Good morning. Welcome to a Calvinian architecture, first octave, fifth chapter, Anastasia, verses 2 and 3. I'll begin with verse 2 and then I'll see if there's enough time and space to go on to verse 3. And thank you for listening. Adam and I set off from Gore Street with a birthday cake dense with all kinds of nuts and figs and dates, and the tent in the back seat and pots and pans as well. We don't really think we'll use them, but we load them up just in case. We stop in Lawn and get a bit drunk. That's okay because we have lots of time. Next morning we head for Port Campbell after seeing Erskine Falls, strikingly beautiful in the early winter light. We get to the 12 Apostles in the late afternoon. Eventually, we're the only ones left in the car park. We're looking down into the darkness, listening to the wild surf, rolling in from Antarctica, and half notice a white Commodore trying to find its way out, impatiently screeching and wheeling around. We don't say anything. The silence between us is good. We've spent a lot of time walking alone that afternoon. We end up at the pub in Port Campbell to eat something. We watch the fire glowing in the fireplace in the corner after we order. Suddenly a policeman comes in and heads straight for us, asks us if we were in the car park at the 12 Apostles. We say, yeah, why? He asks if we happen to notice a white Commodore. We say, yeah, kind of. He says, well, it's gone clear over the cliff, drove straight through the fence into the high tide. Must be 100 meters above the water, that cliff, he says to himself. We give our names and addresses as witnesses. We can't eat. We drive out there again without wanting to, but wanting to. Out on the cliffs, the rescue squatters lit the whole beach up like it was daytime. Grim men work in silence, trying to rig up a winch. Down there, the tide washes in and out of the car, pushes it around like it was a little toy. It's cold now. Suddenly, an arm protrudes from the car window and is tossed gently by each incoming wave, sucked out of the window, then allowed to recede back inside it. It's very gentle, like a caress, really. Or like someone reluctantly waving goodbye. We drive away. Next night, we're in Horsham. We decide not to camp out. Somehow we hire a video about alien abductions and watch it in silence in a pale cream motel room. Everything's kind of strangely tense. Then next day we're in the Grampians and at sunset the rock face burns orange and red, and even the edges of the countless leaves of the countless eucalypts burn orange and red, and the sky burns orange and red. Adam is across a little valley from me. We can see each other. We're both facing west. We camp near a lake and cook fish. The night descends suddenly and we sit by the fire for a long time. Next day, we drive across the Mallee into the Wimmera. There are thousands of mice scurrying on the road. Adam expects me somehow to avoid them. I can't. We drive right on through the day into night. In the headlights, we can see an endless sea of mice, either dead or feeding on the dead. They're everywhere. I drive faster and faster. We get to Lake Mungo at midnight. The hotel rooms are freezing. Outside, stars blaze in the absolute darkness. In the morning, we wander aimlessly over 1 million dunes, down and up, sand and bones in silence. It all feels like an endless cemetery. The light's so blue here. The day is like a dream. There are crows that come to the table under the trees, crows so black they shine blue. We leave feeling that something's incomplete, something's gone, missing maybe. We can't wait to get back somehow. The last petrol pump for 200 kilometres is closed. The gauge is on reserve for at least 100 kilometres. I slow down to 40 an hour. To our left, strange lights. They're not harvesters because they're sort of floating. We try not to think about them. That night we camp at the Pink Lakes. We crisscross the Wimmera and the Mallee in strange configurations, looking for something that we cannot decipher. They're in fact blue, the Pink Lakes. We walk around the lake in opposite directions. After 2 hours, we cross each other's path, but we don't speak. Later, after sitting in front of another fire, we fall deeply asleep. Awake in the middle of the night, somehow I've wandered out of the tent. I can see stars clearly burning above me. Then I realise, as I become fully aware, that I'm still in the tent. Though I can see everything above me, I don't understand this. Slowly the tent becomes solid and the stars recede. Somehow I'm not surprised. I try and tell Adam, but the words sound like they're coming from far off. Dawn feels a long way away. Later that day we drive into Mildura. We find the last caravan in the last caravan park to sleep in. We drive down the street looking for something. Then I see it. Something Italian with wine and pizza, desperately needed. I'm so happy to be inside this brightly lit Mildura cafe, hearing my own language. The pizza is terrible, but I eat it. The wine sour, but I drink it. Verse 3. Il Piccolo Trieste daily newspaper is constantly full of advertisements for apartments, little suburban villas, houses in the country. Each day I buy it and read the ads and underline in blue biro the ones that might be possibilities. Each stirs in me hopes of a life lived somehow, somewhere here, with those sounds, a glimpse of this gulf, the smell of coffee in the early morning and of acrid diesel fuel by the port. One day we go and have a look at a little apartment in Via Rossini on the 7th floor, a view of the sea towards Monfalcone. 2 little rooms, an outside toilet on the balcony. There's a poster in the toilet, its corners torn, of a dark blue night sky dotted with stars. It says, "Non aver paura della notte," meaning, don't be afraid of the night. I can't work out what possible function it might have here or where it comes from. It seems to be the only thing that's either been abandoned or forgotten by the previous tenant. We can't seem to leave. Finally, the agent says he has another appointment. "One more look," I say, "at the sea towards Monfalcone." I won't buy this one either, but from the balcony I manage to glimpse the movement of a large ship out of the harbour. Later we stop to have a coffee around the corner. At the next table sits a blind woman who's accompanied by her carer. This carer orders 2 coffees and then begins to describe what's going on in the street. Continues with the cafe's interior. She turns to us and smiles. Suddenly the blind woman says out loud, but seemingly looking straight at me, "Do you know, dear?" She now turns to her carer. "I'm no longer afraid of the night." Now, isn't that good? Aren't you happy? Thank you for sharing the stories. Until tomorrow. First octave, Do, keynote, red colour, 6th chapter, tomorrow. See you tomorrow.